Welcome, everyone. Friday, it's time for the Film Threat Friday Livecast. Today on the show, we're talking Terrifier 3. Another movie called The Apprentice, about the early days of Donald Trump, oddly. Plus, Piece by Piece, the Pharrell Williams Lego documentary. Other films playing in theaters. We have an interview with the director of Mafia Wars. Alan Ing is waiting in the wings. It's a Good Friday. We've seen, between the two of us, we've seen a lot of movies, and we will tell you about them. So let's get things started. Let's go. Let's start the show. We're going right now. Right now.
She was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute. I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She.
Where's just.
I'm really busy at the moment with Dr. Doom, but I'll say it. Alan.
Go
ahead.
No, a big intro for you all the time.
I know. I was gonna say my good friend RDJ.
Yes,
Yeah.
You're a very good friend. That's awesome.
Loves it.
Yeah, I am pre-coffee, if anyone. So I will catch up in terms of being conscious. But we're gonna save any comments about specific movies for when we talk about those movies. But people are in our chat. Lots of people we love to talk to every week, 3 times a week, hopefully. Let's go.
All right, MK Solid. Word about Captain America spread like wildfire after Chris did his Wednesday reveal. Lots of other bloggers are taking credit. Shame on them.
Yeah, I saw that. Whatever. I mean, they claim there was a test screening. No, there was not. There were people within Marvel who need to see these movies to do their job that saw the movie. That's how I know, is they've screened it for people at Marvel. I don't know about a test screening. If they did that, that's separate from what I heard.
Yeah.
So,
or it may have been the early test screenings that prompted all the reshoots and everything.
I don't even know if that. I could just say I went to a test screening. I did not.
Yeah.
I heard from someone who saw it, who's told me things before. So there you go.
And I don't remember you saying a lot about Captain America on Wednesday.
It wasn't much.
Yeah. MK Saul, I feel like these Terrifier movies are filling the Rob Zombie / Sid Haig void.
Yep.
JB Spooky Review. I feel like I'm the only one that doesn't like the Terrifier movies. JB Spooky Review. Suns and Shadows. Hey, everyone. What's the number of cups of coffee Chris had this morning?
It is about a quarter of a cup. I'm not even fully into this cup yet, but I'll need to go get a refill. So bear with me.
Okay. Scott Christie Jones, member for 7 months. Thank you for your support. Watch Slow Horses. Happy Friday.
Well, thank you for being a member. I'm really proud of, if you're a member, you get access to our Discord. We do giveaways for our members, and I'm going to share a screen here real quickly because I want to show our growing list. It's a growing list of members only videos. If you zoom in here, look at members only. We got a Q&A with the actor who plays Bob Marley in One Love. We've got Pharrell Williams. There's Alan Goes Wild at LA Comic-Con. We went to a screening of The Apprentice, and the actress who plays Ivana Trump did a Q&A with the director. These are all things you get as a member. Go to the members only playlist. I'll go right here. Look at these videos. We are posting them several every week. If Alan and I go to a premiere, here's a Q&A with the director of The Substance, 40 minutes. We are capturing these plus exclusive videos. Here's Alan as Frankenstein from Young Frankenstein. I like it. Other movies and screenings we've gone to: Strange Darling. Alan, you and I were there together.
Yeah.
My penguin friend. And then I post videos of my adventures in LA. And this was me at Lucha Vavoom. I had ringside seats and I filmed all the action. A few burlesque dancers in there and some of the wrestling. So, and occasionally Alan will post videos.
Yes. By the way, I went to I was at Paramount Studios watching Better Man. And guess what? They didn't have a Q&A.
It's okay. I mean, whenever they do it, capture it. We did Rebel Moon. Zack Snyder did a Q&A at a Rebel Moon screening. It was an hour. I'm not saying, like, look, I didn't love the movie at all. I think it's not great, but it was interesting to hear his insights. Plus, here's from Hall H during the Marvel panel. A lot of exclusive videos. So here's the Daddy-O screening where Sean Penn told us to turn off our cameras.
Yeah.
We
got one question in, and then
we were scolded. And then a Terrifier panel at Monsterpalooza. I filmed the panel. It was amazing with director Damian Leone. It's just, if you become a member, and I'm thinking about this. What do you think about this? We could give members discounts in the Film Threat shop. A shop. So if you're a member, we have a member discount. I don't know.
Yeah.
We should
I should also say, people have been asking. I will be seeing Aliens, but I'm going to be at film festivals for the next 3 weeks. So sometime after that, we'll do the member only Aliens screening.
I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it.
I know, but at the same time, it's like I'm supposed to watch the movie, yet I'm now monitoring the chat and everything. And
Alan can't do two things at once. Don't ask him to chew gum and walk.
Yeah, but if I'm supposed to watch the movie, but I'm talking with members,
people do it all the time. Well, yeah, if it's your very first time seeing the film,
yeah, maybe I should watch it first and then do it.
Well,
again.
maybe what you do is just have like the movie and kind of obscured, but then your face with a flashlight on it, so people can see if you get scared. That would be funny.
Okay.
But go to shop.filmthreat.com and get something in our shop. So there you go. Awesome. Okay. Lot to talk about. We have a quick news story to get to. I want to share. If you would bring up the caption, I'll bring up the story.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
I'm in the wrong thing here. Here we go.
This is from Variety. Wait, let me reduce that size here.
There you go. No, you just had it.
Okay.
Fill the screen. Yeah.
Yeah. Beetlejuice success. And by the way, it is very successful. It's still in theaters, and they're still doing the Beetlejuice cups and popcorn buckets. They've got them. Beetlejuice success doesn't downplay risky reboots coming to theaters. This isn't. We're going to give you the highlights of this article, but it's really interesting because they go through this is really a comment on franchises and reboots. If you would give us the highlights, Alan, I know you have them in front of you.
Okay. I mean, where you want me to go? I haven't read the article, so I don't know what highlights you're talking about.
There's highlights in the document.
Okay, I'll read the highlights in the document.
Great.
What? Okay, here we go. The long-awaited Beetlejuice sequel opened opening weekend to tremendous success, $100 million. However, the studio reboot sequel Up Next, Gladiator 2, cost thrice as much to make. 28 years later, due in 2025, is cheaper than both and is taking the huge risk of shooting its own sequels back to back.
Okay. If you could get into here, I'm gonna blow this up. This is just a sample of we've got Gladiator 2 coming up. We've got Karate Kid is coming in May 2025. 28 years later, June 2025. Tron Ares, October 2025. That's about a year from yesterday. Freakier Friday and Spinal Tap 2. I don't think anybody asked for that. Yeah, the reboot train is not over. So there you go. Alan, why don't you read some of this? The one there's a couple paragraphs just below the chart that give you insight.
Okay. So, so all of these factors make November's Gladiator 2 from the returning director Ridley Scott and Paramount the biggest test case yet for the viability of theatrical sequels after a long hiatus. Long hiatus. That's a strike. It sports a strong cast with Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, and Denzel Washington, but doesn't otherwise feature a returning cast, despite some characters' familial connection to the original. Most important, Scott is reported to have rung up production costs to the tune of around $300 million. The kind of nightmare gamble that has strained the profitability of recent sequels to much more established franchise, including Indiana Jones 5 and The Marvels last year. While the record R-rated success of this summer's Deadpool and Wolverine, audiences exhibited appreciation for the Twisters' disaster spectacle and the current success of Beetlejuice, all bode well for Gladiator 2. The risk of its budget is hard to shake, especially from May's Furiosa, a Mad from franchise originator George Miller, floundered at half the budget. Oh, you want to keep going?
Yeah.
Compared to August Alien Romulus, a new installment of the longtime R-rated studio franchise that has made more than $300 million globally from the budget of under $100 million. The Gladiator sequel is a rarity that stands to add more pain to Paramount's global fraught M&A period if it isn't the breakout hit of the Thanksgiving window.
Just read this last part here and we'll get into it.
Okay. Currently unscheduled, Rob Reiner's Spinal Tap sequel is the kind of attempt to bring back a classic that understands it shouldn't be bigger than its britches. The budget is just over $20 million, and a returning ensemble cast. It's hard to imagine the mockumentary approach wouldn't make its money back, even if there's little appeal for younger film goers without cameos from fresher music acts.
The bottom line is here. First of all, I didn't realize, look at all these reboots. This is insane. And Freakier Friday is coming. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And I mean, this is going to be weird. So many of these. And I don't know. What are your thoughts, Alan, on all of this? Here's a whole list of upcoming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the idea that reboots and sequels, we've been talking about this for years. To add on top of that, nothing original is really coming out of the big studios. It's IP. It's a book they buy, an adaptation, more comic books. And so Hollywood will rarely ever invest in something because, quite frankly, I think it's because of the price tag. If I'm going to give you $100 million to make a movie, I need guaranteed success. And originals don't guarantee success.
The only one that's really weird to me is Gladiator 2, which, by the way, I have word it's really good. I have word from people I've spoken to that it's really good and it will likely get Oscar nominations for people like Denzel Washington. I'm shocked as anyone to hear this. I didn't think we needed a Gladiator 2, but the new trailer, which doesn't have rap music, thankfully, not a real match for that. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. I'm hearing it's actually excellent. I know. First, I am only the messenger. This is not my opinion. This is what I heard from a source that is reliable, that it's shockingly good and will get Oscar noms. And I don't know what that says. I mean, Dune Part 2 technically is a sequel and part of a franchise, and that will get a lot of Oscar noms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
I mean, honestly, I've heard people say that before. Ultimately it becomes we'll know when we see it.
Right.
Here, let's bring up the top box office for the year so far. Every single one of them is a sequel.
My God.
Every single one.
Unbelievable. Inside Out 2, number 1, sequel. Deadpool and Wolverine, sequel. Third.
Yeah, for the most part.
Number 3, Despicable Me 4, sequel. Number 4, Dune Part 2, sequel. 5, Beetlejuice, sequel. 6, Twisters, sequel. 7, Godzilla v. Kong, The New Empire, sequel. Number 8, Kung Fu Panda 4, sequel. Number 9, Bad Boys Ride or Die, sequel. Number 10, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, sequel. These are the top grossing movies of 2024.
Yeah. Let's see. It Ends With Us is the number 11, not a sequel.
Not a sequel.
But it isn't a novel adaptation.
Okay, number 12, A Quiet Place Day 1, sequel. Number 13, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, sequel. Number 14, If.
Original. It's an original movie.
Number 15, Alien Romulus, sequel. And number 16, Bob Marley One Love. I went to a screening of that. Apparently, it's the highest grossing movie that is in Oscar contention. The actor who plays Bob Marley is in the mix for Best Actor. I could see that happening. If that happens, it's the highest grossing movie that would be nominated. Wow, that's really, really shocking.
Okay. Yeah, Wonka doesn't count there, but that's a sequel.
But Furiosa, number 25.
Wow.
Did not do well. 67 million. Wow.
Yeah, just eking out The Beekeeper.
I thought The Beekeeper was fun. Low expectations for that. All right. Well, look, you know what? Here's my prediction. Based on this data, go back to the top 10 again.
Okay.
These are all franchises, reboots, or sequels. Every single one in the top 10. That list. It's if I worked in Hollywood, I'd say, let's keep making them. Why do you think they keep getting made? They're the highest grossing movies.
Right. But again, Hollywood also copies success. Once one thing succeeds, you see millions of iterations of it. Unfortunately, its sequels is that iteration, or is that success. Again, if you're going to spend $100 million, $200 million, there's no way they're going to put it to an original. When was the last original that got that kind of money? Oppenheimer.
Chris Nolan. Only certain filmmakers can do it, but I don't know.
Megalopolis, but that was Coppola's own money.
Right. All right, let's go to the chat and get your comments and questions here on this.
Okay, from Solomon Thornton. Some films need sequels and some don't. I do remember reading that there were always plans for a Beetlejuice sequel since the 90s. Yeah, you can make the case for Beetlejuice. I'm just not sure Spinal Tap is that movie you needed a sequel for. Right. Although I do want to see Spinal Tap. Razorbird, they might as well make a Spinal Tap 2. I think all of them are still alive. Yep. Yeah, in fact, it's in post right now. The Nerd Far Away, apparently Hollywood just wants to shoot itself in the foot, doing all these reboots, remakes, whatever. I'm over it.
I think it's brought down the general enthusiasm for movies I mean, I'm a habitual user, going to the movies several times a week. So, yeah.
Yes. Gung Ho Mac 2. I can't wait for the Schindler's List 2.
I could see that happening.
or a reboot. Maybe make it a musical. Bruce Leroy Jenkins for 5. Frank heard from other YouTubers that Cap 3 is not good. New Daredevil is ultraviolet and Thunderbolts is better than expected. Can you confirm that?
Yes, I'm the one that said it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Hey, thank you, Bruce Leroy Jenkins.
Big Mar 499. How far our creativity has fallen. Go and support indie film. And also, Chris, what is your top 3 classic horror films?
I've been asked this a lot lately. It's real easy. John Carpenter's The Thing, Cronenberg's The Fly, the original 1978 Halloween with PJ Souls topless. Yeah. I mean, Night of the Living Dead is my all-time favorite, the original 1968. So there you go. We have a lot of films to review, so comments will be light. Between movie, we'll get the best comments. But let a couple last things here. We gotta start reviewing movies.
Yeah, we got this one already.
Okay, cool. Reminder.
From Lord Thoth, like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, sign up as a member, join us on X, Discord, Rumble, and Instagram. Buy our merch, shop.filmthreat.com.
All right. Thank you for that, Lord Thoth. We appreciate you. And Alan, if you would prepare to review movies, we'll get to the main movie we'll review today. But what is this? We Live in Time? What is that all about? Why don't you cue that up? So when you prep for the show and you suggest all these stories, do you pre-read them in advance?
Well, again,
this is a list of things that
this story came out at the last minute.
All right, we'll talk about this on Friday. Next story.
Okay. Are you answering an email?
Yeah, because that's all I fucking do.
Yes, but I believe that email has been resolved.
I believe it has.
I believe it has been resolved and should not be affecting the show right now.
I also know how hard Alan works.
And you're the father.
All right, Alan.
All right. We Live in Time. Let me grab the...
See, when that video was playing, did you heard me? I was telling you to cue that up while we were showing the video.
Yeah, but then this pops up while you're doing everything and then changes the camera and everything. Okay. All right, We Live in Time.
Wait. Oh. Alan? Tell me about We Live in Time.
Okay, We Live in Time. It has to be one of the worst titles in the world because I can't remember this title. It's an awful title. But it's a rom-com, they claim, but it's actually more rom drama. It stars Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. Andrew plays Tobias and Florence plays Almut. This is kind of a rom-com. What's happening is Tobias is recently divorced or about to get divorced. While he's in a hotel room trying to sign the divorce papers, the pen doesn't work. He goes out to the store to buy a pen, and he gets hit by Florence Pugh with her car. He goes to the hospital. They kind of make a connection there. We find out that Almut is a top-class chef, and she invites Tobias and his wife to the restaurant. And when they show up, the wife isn't there, and the two start a romance. During that, as Almut's career grows, their love deepens, and they decide to kind of hook up or get together. But the key here is he wants children, she doesn't. But and this kind of creates a rift. They fix that rift. They have a child, and then she gets cancer. And let's put it this way: this is a movie my wife wouldn't like because it's a cancer movie. This movie fits into this current trope of time jumping constantly. Oh, this movie jumps back and forth in time.
Is it confusing?
It can be. These things are always confusing at first because you don't know it's time jumping. So things happen. You wonder, well, what are we there? And then you got to now figure out the cues in which the time jumps occur. For example, they do ultimately have a kid. So that's kind of the middle of their story. A lot of it has to do with her cancer and the decision she makes. The biggest one is 6 months of an amazing time together worth 12 months of chemotherapy and treatment without a guarantee of success. So 6 months with a decided end to the situation, or 12 months with a possible end. And that's kind of where this movie kind of revolves around, the theme of this movie. Because a lot of decisions have to be made. One is, I think the biggest one is that Almut, just as the final bout of cancer, or this current bout of cancer happens, she has been asked to represent the UK in the Bocuse d'Or, which I've seen a documentary about it. It's one of the Europe's, or one of the world, except the United States, greatest food competitions, and she kind of has to make a decision of whether she's going to go through treatments or is she going to follow her dream and compete in the Bocuse d'Or. And there's a lot of, sounds selfish, and you're right, and there's a lot kind of revolving around that decision. I will say this, there are a lot of cancer movies. In fact, once you realize it's a cancer movie, I thought to myself, okay, another cancer movie. I don't know that this one moves the needle in the genre of cancer movies, but I'll just say this: good performances from Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh. They do their thing. They do it well. It's a touching story. I don't think it's that far elevated from all the other movies like it, but I think it'll get a tepid recommendation from me, a bare recommendation, because it's a good film. But you're going to pick out the plot holes. You're going to find something you're not going to like about it, but for the most part, it's good.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for this, and specifically it was like, no thanks. But someone I read often and really enjoy their reviews is a guy named David Poland. He loved it and bawled his eyes out. And
Yeah.
Specifically because they have a kid in the mix. And I thought, wow, I think I would be really affected by this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned my family's kind of going through this right now.
Yeah.
And there's certainly touch points for me and this movie to where I could relate to it. And I, again, would never show this to my wife at this point. Look, let's just throw it out there. Florence Pugh bears all.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So.
That bumps it up a point. So it's a bare recommend, but it is a recommend.
Yes.
Let's go to your comments right here.
All right, from West Ray, I heard Garfield and Pugh got pretty hot and heavy on the set. In this one. Well, I mean, based on the footage they shot, yes.
I'll say this: they call it. There's a word for it in the industry. They call it. It's not love. It's location. When you're on a location in an intense shoot, working so hard with very little personal life when the film is being made, romance does happen on set. It just happens. Again, it's not love, it's location. Then when the movie's over, generally, so is the dalliance, so to speak.
I mean, I would probably say this is a intimacy coordinator's nightmare movie, because it didn't seem like anything was restrained at all. Goober says, cancer, what a hoot. Yeah, I know. Snakes and Funerals. So it's a rom-com. It's a rom-cans com. Yeah. Comedy, sure there are laughs, but this is much more of a drama than a rom-com. A romance. Cancer is a genre now. Yes, cancer is drug addiction is a genre. Okay. Beerosaurus Rex, another cancer movie, was the working title.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, let's pivot to our next film, a movie that you and I have both seen, Piece by Piece. Let me bring up the banner here. you could reset for me, Alan.
There we go.
I love how Alan's so organized.
I know.
And by the way, this show is very professional. I don't care what people say. I don't care about the comments. We remain professionals here at Film Threat. Isn't that right, Alan?
That's right. My dog wants that.
Your dog?
Yeah, she doesn't care about this movie.
So wait, you can't see before you ask. Alan's dog is named Molly, named after obviously the
party
drug.
Yeah, party drug.
Right.
Literally, that's how we name our pets.
Get the name Molly.
We name our pets after drugs. Sorry.
So
I can't. Right. I can tell you
I was kidding.
Dog. My last dog. Oh my gosh! I mean, that was totally a drug reference.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good time to do that, to have an announcement. All right, Alan, the film Piece by Piece is a documentary about acclaimed musician, pop artist, really legend in the movie industry or film industry, music industry, yeah. Pharrell Williams. You know, so many tunes he's responsible for, so many beats. Probably most famous for Happy, and also wearing a very large hat. His career, he's created so many iconic songs, the man behind those songs, and he partnered with Morgan Neville, the director of the Mr. Rogers documentary, to make a documentary only in Legos. That's right. This film tells it's a whole biopic about Pharrell. They're all done in Legos. There's not one frame of human in it. Interviews are conducted. There's supposedly footage or reenactments of things that happened, telling Pharrell's story as a young man growing up in Virginia who just fell in love with music. He describes seeing music in colors, and Morgan is actually even in the movie as a Lego interviewing Pharrell. And all the figures in the film, the musical figures, are all rendered in Legos. It's a very weird way to do a documentary. When you listen to the audio, it is, as described, a doc, tells his whole story. But the visuals being done in Legos, there's an interesting device they use where they show like how he sees a beat as glowing different colors. They're like prizes that he keeps, and they're like these gifts that he somehow receives by, connecting to the universe of ideas. There's the opening of the film discusses is nothing new, everything in the universe. There are no new colors. All the colors we have, you can't invent a new color. The spectrum of colors, that's what we have. But can you invent sounds? I love that it gets into philosophies about creativity. But I've seen the movie twice now, and I say I really love this film. First of all, I love docs. It's also the right length. It doesn't overstay its welcome. 90 minutes. It does get very personal. You would think this is dumb in Legos, but there's parts of the film. There's a moment in the movie where he discusses he has kind of a downturn in his career, and he gets into what inspired the song Happy. When he gets into that, it's this touching moment about family and what matters, and his grandmother who believed in him, who passed away. And I'm sitting here getting choked up watching Legos, right? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I give this a strong recommend. It's also because it's a Legos, people will think it's for kids. And that kids can see it. There's a funny thing where Snoop Dogg is in this movie. Like they swear, and whenever someone swears, a poop emoji goes in front of their mouth. And then when Snoop Dogg is in the film, they spray PG spray. But Snoop Dogg is actually in the movie smoking weed. But they
well, you also forget the women on boats in bikinis.
Yeah, they redo one music video in Legos, but it's supposed to be sexy. It's so well done. So this kids could see this and love, all the songs. I was surprised how many songs I knew. But I was impressed. He is the man behind so many people's careers. So I loved it. Strong recommend. It's a weird sell because it's a doc, it's Legos, it's moving, it's music, it's a music documentary. And I really did not know previous to seeing this a lot about Pharrell. Now I do, and really loved it. And Morgan Neville really is his Mr. Rogers doc is amazing. So and that's how Pharrell got wanted to work with him.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of Peace?
Yeah, not only wanted to work with him because of Mr. Rogers, but I mean Legos. I think he always wanted to make a Lego documentary like this, and I think part of it also is because I think certain people didn't want to appear on camera, and they felt much better about doing it by being represented as a Lego figure. Right. I'll also say that I really did enjoy this. I think the music is incredible. In fact, I would suggest see this movie in a Dolby theater or an IMAX, something where they where a theater that's known for good sound, because this movie is kicking. Yeah, I'm like you. First of all, I'm fascinated by the guy. I have been, but I realize how little I knew of his career.
Yeah,
and I realized how much of the music I've enjoyed over the last 30 years. Pharrell has been a part of it, and I didn't even know it. No doubt, Gwen Stefani is in this one, and she just goes into how instrumental Pharrell was in creating No Doubt, or creating the mega hit band that No Doubt. And loved it. I'm not sure I'd ever want to see another documentary through Legos ever again.
Yeah, same. It worked for this because I did love this running thread of how he comes up with a beat. Right?
Yeah.
So
it's a beat. It's a beat, and it's represented by two or three odd pieces of Legos put together.
But they glow.
It lights up and pulsates, and then he puts it away in a box to be able to pull it out again when the time is right. And so he just collects these beats that he can use now or use later. The other thing, what's interesting is, his life in the sense of, here's a guy who, for the better part, is a part of hip hop, but not a part of hip hop. And if anything, he's the guy who brought hip hop to the masses. He transformed it in a way that kept to its roots. So he was able to build a large hip hop following, but at the same time be able to bring it to everyone else, which I found amazing. Like he's got a song in every single Despicable Me movie. So his appeal is so broad, and it's just interesting to see how he has his foot in both worlds. There was a point in which a lot of the artists who they interviewed, he comes from a skateboarder world, which I guess according to them, Black people don't do skateboards. But they talk about how he wasn't necessarily one of them, but he was. And this guy is just kind of this enigma that I just found fascinating in terms of, this, not to get politics into it again, but, for identity politics, to have someone who succeeded purely on talent, who was Black, who was, who didn't seem to have any real obstacles or barriers in the way other than himself and the business. And it's very inspiring. and I would definitely recommend this movie.
Yeah, I mean, as a documentary biopic film about an artist, what I love about it is you get a perfect mix of the reason he is at the level that he is.
Mm-hmm.
You get insight into his personal life, his relationship with his parents, his grandmother in particular, his friends that he made growing up as a kid, how he struggled in school, and his love of music. Just they show a scene where he's just using like kitchen utensils to pound on pillows to make sounds, and the insight into the process. He would come up with a beat and then not have a song. He'd go like, I don't even ever like, here's the beat, the riff of the song. I want to match that with an artist. They come up with lyrics. I've got the beat like that's underneath it. His friends like Chad would add to it, and it became this whole process. So I love the insight into the creative process. Whenever we talk to filmmakers on the show, I always want to get like, whether it's writing or the filmmaking side, you want to know like how it's done. And the movie gets into that. And the way it's, like you said, like these glowing things, he comes up with a beat, doesn't know what to do with it. I'll put it away. And he even discusses, he had a beat that he did for Prince, and Prince never used it, which was cool. So I really cannot recommend this film enough. I don't know if it'll be nominated for Best Doc, but
yeah,
apparently they spent 5.5 years on this movie, and it is legitimately made like a doc. Personal interviews to camera. Morgan's in it. Footage or reenactments, the songs themselves, like you said, music videos being reenacted in Legos was like crazy. Cause I remember that music video. It's like, it was sexy, hot, and like by the pool and women wearing barely anything. And they did that in Legos. So it actually makes it very innocent.
Yeah.
So I loved it.
Yeah. To your Oscar comment, I mean, there have been animated documentaries that have been nominated for Oscars, so I don't see why this one isn't. The only thing I think people will say is not worthy of Oscars is the fact that it's very scripted, in the sense of you have to have a script in order to animate this stuff. So, and also a lot of the reason it's done in Legos is, I don't think there's video or film footage of Pharrell's personal life, the way he came up in the business and things like that. And so it's all reenacted in Legos.
I'm sure that what they did was they made a movie like that was not Legos, whether it was audio only or something. They created an audio version of this doc first to then animate too.
Yeah.
So because it's done like a traditional doc, and having made docs myself, that is part of the process. You get like your vomit cut, which is the movie in audio form. Then you marry the visuals to it. So I can imagine he did a process like that. I did go to a special screening, and there was a Q&A and intro, and that's for our members only. So check out those. He gets into it. It's very good. So a strong recommend from me. What about you, Alan?
Yeah, definitely a strong recommend.
Let's go to your comments here.
All right, Ron is right. Will there be a P. Diddy scene in Legos?
P. Diddy is not in the movie. Jay-Z is in the movie.
Kendrick Lamar.
I don't know if he had a relationship with P. Diddy. Maybe not, because Pharrell seems very like, there's no stories of drugs or, illicit. There's not like any crazy stories about Pharrell. He seemed pretty family oriented and kind of
pretty straight edge when it comes
pretty straight edge. He's not like into dark stuff. So there is no P. Diddy.
Yeah. And he has parents who, okay. Matthew Hammond for 2. Not another cancer movie, summer 2025.
It's coming.
Yeah,
Thank you for that, Matthew, for the $2.
Gung Ho Mac, we are being replaced by AI and Legos.
It's happening.
John Manalang, Pharrell Williams, the man that does not age, cool to the core.
Yeah, it was cool, like how they got into his other pursuits, business pursuits, but that kind of that didn't help him. After a while, that just got like too many things that wasn't his hard, wasn't his core creativity, which was music.
Yep. Spidey Sensei 72. My eye almost rolled out of my head seeing the trailer in theaters, but I might stream this after hearing Chris's review.
You will enjoy it. I'm shocked. There's a moment near the end of the movie I got choked up. I can't believe it, but I did.
Yeah, I'll say this: if this is available in a Dolby theater near you this weekend, go see this movie. Caveat ties: stop motion Legos or animated.
Well, all the Lego movies and Lego productions done by Lego are computer. They're all done on computer.
Yeah,
it looks very good. It does look like Legos, but it's all computer.
Yeah, and it does have that stop motion feel to it, but it's animated. It's computer animated.
Yeah.
And all it's been that way since the first Lego movie.
Let's get to our next review. Let's see. Let's do a movie you and I also have both seen. Let's talk about The Apprentice. But why don't you talk to the chat? I got to get more coffee. Be right back.
Okay. All right, chat. Let's talk. Let's see. Here we go. Bootzilla is responding to Solomon Thorne. 2000s had some very good hip hop. Can't touch the 90s, but it's the last decade of near greatness. Yeah, do you notice how we're all trying to get back to the 90s? Here we go. Let's see. Okay, here all right. Let's see. How's your father? Says, did they discuss Terrifier 3? Not yet. We will. BMO Better over on Rumble. Hi, Alan. Hey, BMO. Good to see you actually in the StreamYard chat. Let's see. Volume Dealer, the TDS movie. Okay, we're going to save that one. Sons and Shadows. How about them Padres? If
Game 5 is tonight.
Okay.
Game 5 is tonight.
Let's just say I haven't been following sports since I became a father.
And we'll talk about Terrifier 3 after this.
Yeah.
So
and then Ron Enriquez, speak for yourself, Alan. I've been trying to get back to the 80s. I have been too, but no one cares about the 80s. They care about the 90s.
See, you could go to the next thing, right?
Oh, while you're gone and me trying to...
Yeah, you could set it up.
There you go.
All right. Alan...
These are always the best moments of the stream, by the way.
Yeah, I know. The asides. Or Alan thinking out loud his internal monologue.
Yes. Why does Chris keep bringing this up all the time? All right.
Okay. Alan, you and I have both seen The Apprentice. This is a movie about the early days of Trump, starting in the 70s as a rising real estate mogul, kind of floundering, being sued by the U.S. government. He forms an odd relationship. I'm not sure if you could even call it a friendship. It was sort of an apprenticeship with an attorney named Roy Cohn, who was very powerful, who basically took Donald Trump under his wing and taught him, I'll say, everything he knows. Trump is played by Sebastian Stan. And it's Jeremy Strong plays Roy Cohn. Alan, tell us more about the story of the film before we get into it.
Yeah, so this starts in the 70s, early in Trump's career. He's kind of living under the shadow of his father, Fred, another real estate mogul. And he has an opportunity, Trump, to kind of become the apprentice, gain mentorship from Roy Cohn. Roy kind of thinks he's a schlub, but decides that he's going to take him under his wing anyways. And he teaches him the win at all costs method of doing business. In fact,
and never apologize.
Yeah, in fact, here,
Never apologize.
let me get the 3 rules here if I can find it real fast. And
So
no, I
yeah,
can't find it
Roy
real fast.
becomes. Oh no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You
Toss.
wrote the review on Film Threat.
Right, but he had 3 rules that he followed. It was basically win at all costs, never admit error, never admit faults, and then whatever you said. This is a very interesting movie because this is a true character arc for Donald Trump. He's this kind of meek, inexperienced real estate guy who comes under the tutelage of Roy Cohn, and over the course of the film, he turns into the person you know today, at least 80s Trump. It ends with basically the beginning of writing the book, The Art of the Deal. Along the way, so basically he uses manipulation, he uses blackmail, he uses just a forceful tone to be able to get what he wants. The biggest thing is to get a tax abatement from the city of New York to rebuild one of the famous hotels there. No one thinks he's going to do it because New York is going through a recession. There's no money. The New York City needs the tax money to pay, all for all of its services. And Trump is going in demanding that he gets tax abatements. And Roy Cohn tells him how to get it and then uses kind of backdoor politics to do that. Along the way, he meets Ivana Trump, played by Maria Bakalova. And the two of them become this powerhouse, this media powerhouse. Where he basically wills these buildings into being. And then Ivana is the one who's going to do all the interior design of it. And Trump falls into the greed, I wouldn't say necessarily the hedonism of being rich, but you definitely see the birth of the Donald Trump we know today. And so there's the interesting thing about the storytelling here is that you see the rise of Trump countered by the downfall of Roy Cohn. Roy, although he never admitted it, was a homosexual and contracted AIDS. And the movie kind of ends with his downfall, being disbarred, being sued, and then to have AIDS kind of ravage him. You see basically the crossing of these two characters, which I found interesting. I will say this: this is not. I had preconceived notions coming into this movie. First of all, I thought this movie was going to be a hit piece. It's not a hit piece. It is a true character study of Donald Trump. At the same time, it's not pro-Trump either. And I say that all to say that this movie will not sway the election in any way. And when we went to the screening, the director was there. He talked about that he was much more interested in telling a story of a guy on the rise and a guy on the decline, rather than telling a true Donald Trump movie. I will say this: I think the left is going to hate the movie because it humanizes Trump, and I think the right is going to hate the movie for one scene in the movie. And you probably heard about what that scene is, but so I actually like this movie. I actually found it interesting and fascinating. The person that Trump ultimately becomes, it's like, yeah, I can kind of see that. It may come from a biased viewpoint, but it's like, well, that's kind of how I see the guy anyways. So it's interesting. I would recommend it for exactly what this movie is not. It's not a hit piece, and it's an interesting tale on the current nominee for president in the United States.
Yeah, I really love this film. I was shocked how much I loved it. It's the weird way I was telling someone about it, and it's like Trump Man Begins. Mm-hmm. It's like an origin story of Trump, because when you meet him, he's a schlub. He doesn't drink. He doesn't drink at all. He's very straight.
He's very straight edge as well.
You do, and I don't know if anyone knows this, Trump cheated on his wife. So
what?
I know, it's shocking. They show that, but he wasn't really into, like, Roy Cohn has these weird sex parties, and Trump is like, I don't want any part of this. I want away. He doesn't drink. He's very kind of a straight edge, normal dude.
Yeah, and you see that with his brother Freddie, who was an alcoholic and a drug addict.
Yeah, his brother Freddie, they get into that, who was an alcoholic, drug addict, loser, and By contrast, Trump wanted to like, that's the lesson I'm learning about my brother. I don't want any part of being that. But you see him before he is the Trump we know now, how he became that. So in a way, it's like a weird origin movie. If this was a Marvel franchise, this would be the origin of Trump. But you're right, the left will hate this movie because it makes him look like a human being. He's not, even though he does horrible things in the movie. And I do love when he's courting Ivana, and I like how he goes to great lengths, and he's kind of like, he slips on the ice, and he's like, he's not perfect. And that makes him likable. And I got to give credit. Sebastian Stan as Trump is amazing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. It's not, when people tend to do Trump, it's a caricature. It's not a caricature. He moves his mouth like Trump. He moves his mouth like Trump. But he does it in a way that it's not over the top. And then Jeremy Strong as Roy Cohn is terrifying. He's so scary. And you see how Trump like borrowed aspects of Roy Cohn's personality to develop his own personality, right? You see that. And wow, I was just in a, you know, if things were fair, they would both be nominated for Best Actor. I'm being serious. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you can't escape the politics of this movie.
Right, I know. That's the thing. That's what's sad is this is a great film, but I think people's expectations are, well, this is going to tear Trump apart. It doesn't. It's I'll say this. It's honest when it comes to Trump. It's honest. I don't think, except for that one scene you're talking about. Except the one scene.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you. There is a bias in this movie. The bias is very clear, but it's not like we haven't seen movies and TVs have a liberal bias over the last several decades, since the 70s. And you know, so this is not a, hey, I'm going to go out and humanize. I'm going to go out and make Trump a sympathetic character. No, he doesn't come off as sympathetic at the end. But at the same time, the person they portray Trump at the end, you know, we've known about this guy for a long time. The guy is very much into himself. The guy likes to see himself as the savior complex. Yes, he's cheated. He's had multiple wives. You know, those are things you can't deny about Trump. All these negative things we've been told. But you know, to say that, you know, it's fair, I wouldn't say so. But at the same time, I found it a good movie, and I found it very intriguing, and I found it very fascinating. And so that's why I'm recommending it.
Well, I recommend it. I liked it a lot more than you. I think a lot of it is Sebastian Stan is so good. It's the best portrayal of Trump because everyone does a caricature.
Yeah.
He gets the things that he's definitely Trump, but he's early Trump and he really becomes Trump. That's why I describe it as an origin story.
Well, you hit the nail on the head there. This is not a caricature. This is not a comedy, even though it is. But it's a very subtle caricature. You know, he's not trying to do impressions of Trump. He's just trying to get his mannerisms down. You know, and it's very low key in the beginning because, you know, he knows he has to have this character grow over the course of the film. And there's a lot of smart acting choices that Stan makes in this movie. And you know, that's another reason why I'm recommending this movie as well.
All right. So it's a recommend from both Alan and I, but know what you're getting going in. And it's unfortunate that we live in such a political environment. Who would have thought with the election? But I recommend it. Whether you love Trump or hate him, it's a solid film. And one last thing I'll recommend. I love the style. It's set in the 70s and 80s, as you said, kind of going up to, the art of the deal, right?
Just before the book is being written.
Yeah, but the way it's shot, it feels like the 70s and 80s. It has like a sort of video feel to it. And the cinematography is chef's kiss. So good.
Well, you notice like in the 70s, it's film. It's shot on this really grainy film, and then it evolves into the feel of video of the 80s.
It's like our memory of that era, or how that era, we saw that era. That's how the movie looks. So it's really one of my favorite films this year. I don't know if it'll be a top 10, but one of my favorite movies of the year. Let's go to your comments.
Okay, RoboDocs. I don't trust Hollywood to make an objective movie about Trump.
I don't know. The director, I think, is kind of not, I wouldn't describe him as Hollywood. Do you think he's Hollywood?
No, not the director. I think this was made outside. And that's why I'm saying, because the film attempts to make him look human, to make him look authentic, I don't think Hollywood would have really gotten behind that. That's why I believe this is an A24 film and not from the big studios. All right. Hey, it's me in HD. Sounds like the Trump trajectory mirrors that of Vince McMahon.
Not really. Not really. I mean, it just shows him. I think it's pretty fair.
Yeah, I don't. Okay. The nerd far away. Not a hit piece. I'm a shooketh. Yeah. I mean, I say that because it would have been worse under a different direction. BMO better. Trump man. What?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Trump man begins. And then smiley face, Trump mugshot. Chelsea M. Roy Cohn is a very evil, conniving, and corrupt man. If you guys want more information on him, check out One Nation Under Blackmail by Whitney Webb.
Well, by the way, they get into that. They get into how he was so powerful, and it's horrible.
I mean, the blackmail part is all over the film.
It's in the movie.
Yeah. Jimmy Francis, you guys rate it higher or lower than the Reagan film?
That's tough. Reagan is more optimistic, more traditional.
Yeah.
I think I like this movie better because it swings for the fences. And Reagan was pretty typical. Like this movie, I think is, and it's also Roy Cohn. So
yeah. And let's be real, the Reagan movie sets out to make Reagan look like a saint. This one doesn't do that for Trump.
Right.
All right. How's your father? Roy Cohn was gay and died of AIDS in the 80s. Yes, we see all of that.
The movie covers that.
There's no question in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Dorr. Movie was written by Gabriel Sherman, who hates and despises Trump. They're giving Cohen way more credit and influence to Trump. This is like all biopics, is way more fiction than fact. Yeah, I mean, I'll say the director went out of his way to say that this is not a Trump movie. However you interpret that, that's kind of his approach to it.
No, it's more about the relationship of Roy. It's like Donald and Ronald, Donnie and Ronnie. It's more of their contentious relationship.
Yeah. And there's also kind of that Frankenstein aspect of Trump becomes the monster he created.
Yeah.
All right. Roy Enriquez. Without revealing my political affiliations, I've always been fascinated by early interviews with Trump during the 80s. He was really fascinating back then.
Yeah.
He loved being
really, it's really during his heyday, his rise in the 70s and in the 80s. So it gets into all of that.
Yeah, it goes into Trump Tower and then his exploits in Atlantic City. Red Pill Rants for $4.99. I would say it's better to have a savior complex than not. I could think of way worse things to have a complex about.
Yeah, but I encourage you to see it for yourself. You got to see it for yourself. I just think that Trump is flawed and humans are flawed. So Sebastian Stan did a phenomenal job.
Yep.
He made him human. So there you go. All right, let's get to Terrifier 3. because people, I think, are waiting for this.
Yes.
People are waiting, Alan.
There we go.
Terrifier 3, the third film in the Terrifier. Well, it's a franchise. It's fully a franchise with its own popcorn bucket and popcorn cup, as it were. Terrifier 3 is not for the faint of heart. If you saw the first film and the second, they are gore fests. Gore fests. It is like levels of gore you don't see in just a regular horror film. Of course, continuing with Art the Clown, played by David Howard Thornton. He has returned as he's kind of a hero of this franchise. Along with Lauren Lavera, who plays Sienna Shaw, and her family are back being terrified by Art the Clown, who is paired with an ingenue, as it were, his Harley Quinn. This film is set during Christmas. There is an opening Christmas scene with a family getting ready for the holiday, and a young girl can't wait because cookies and milk have been laid out for the elves that are coming to, pre-look at the area for Santa to arrive. When Art the Clown, dressed as Santa, comes in to the family, and you can only guess what happens to them. And by the way, the thing about the Terrifier movies, children are not spared.
Oh.
I'll just say this on the gore. I'll get into it. I'm not going to spoil, but I'll tell you about a couple specific things. Levels of gore where people are walking out of the theater. I noticed at least 2 people leave within the first 10 minutes. Okay? They left. The gore is beyond. And the effects and makeup effects and gore and creative kills are, what can you do with an axe and a person? So, yeah, it's beyond. So you'll see from that opening scene, Art the Clown now is back and on a rampage. You're seeing the body count is piling up. There are then now super fans. There's a young girl, a young woman, I believe it's played by Charlotte McKee, is a super fan of Art the Clown and the murders. She does a podcast where they talk about it. She wants to get Sienna on her show. Sienna's like, "Hey, get away from me. I don't want to relive that trauma, whatnot." And dude, the gore in this movie, yes, I know my last name is Gore. The gore is just on another level. All right. I'm looking away during certain stuff. It really is just insane levels of gore. There's stuff where I'm like, there's a later scene that involves a shower scene and a chainsaw. And let me just say, no one is spared. Children, attractive women. Yes, there's nudity, Alan. You can be sure of that. Men, women, children, no one is spared in this movie. And the deaths in the climax, I won't get into it, are just beyond. Now, how does it compare to Terrifier 2? I really like Terrifier 2, but the problem I have with the second one was the running time. But I loved Sienna becoming what you would describe as kind of an avenging angel with a sword. I love that aspect of it. But there's some torture porn scenes in Terrifier 2 that just go beyond. This is a tighter running time at 2 hours. But I'll say I kind of like Terrifier 2 a little bit more. But not by much. This one is being rated very high. 77% critic score, and the audience score is, I think, at 90%. So fans are liking it, but again, This movie is not for everyone. If you're a horror fan, doesn't mean you will like this. This is horror fans that are gore hounds. How far can you push the medium? This is, bar none, the most grotesque, horrific, creative kills beyond anything you've seen ever released mainstream in a movie theater. As I said, there were paying customers at the 10 o'clock screening I went to, and people walked out who paid for this movie. Okay. So, and the fates that certain characters have are shocking. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say it does open itself up to a sequel. Things occur that set up an ongoing story. But I have one final thing to say here about David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown. And if I'm sure you've seen images of Art. He's like a silent film hero. One of the best scenes in the movie is when Art the Clown, he never speaks. No words from Art the Clown, but you know what he's saying. And David Howard Thornton as this character is like a black and white silent comedian in the stark makeup. I'd love to see the Terrifier 3 in black and white. I don't know if director Damien Leone has thought about doing a black and white version or release it, because Art the Clown, the way there's a scene where he's overhearing people talk about him, and they cut back to Art the Clown going and reacting. You know what he's saying. It got the biggest laugh in the theater. He's like, Silent Bob, or it's like a Buster Keaton, or clearly David Howard Thornton has studied the great silent film comedians and has channeled that into a clown that kills. And I strongly recommend this movie with a warning. For me, 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. But I would say I like Terrifier 2 just a little more. But it has truly come into its own as a franchise. The movie was made for $2 million and guarantee it will make its money back this weekend. So, and if you're going to see a scary clown movie, you can see Joker Folie Deux or Terrifier 3. The choice is clear. Choose Art the Clown. But again, not for everyone. The level of gore in this movie is, you are going to have a moment in the movie, no matter how big a horror fan you are, well, you will turn away and say, I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they took a chainsaw and did that to a naked person. Unbelievable stuff where you're like, and I'm sure that Damien Leone is like, oh my God, he is effing with the audience. And shout out to David Howard Thornton. Really, he really has created a character with Art the Clown. So strong recommend. Jump on the Terrifier bandwagon, get the popcorn bucket, but be warned, not for everyone. Do you have any questions for me, Alan?
I'll be honest, I was tempted to see it last night, and I thought better.
Dude,
I thought better.
The shower scene alone, and that's not the grossest thing. I mean, I would say that, like, I've been following horror obviously for years as a fan. I think the horror film that affected me the most as a kid was Night of the Living Dead, the black and white one, and then the 1978 Halloween I saw in the theater. There's something about a horror film that comes from, do you remember those old Driver's Ed movies we saw as a kid where they tried to, there's
Red Asphalt.
Yes. Okay. Those movies were intentionally gory to scare you. They would scare you to being responsible about driver safety, about wearing your seatbelt. I remember seeing those movies, and they were like a test. Those driver's ed movies from the 70s and 80s influenced horror, because it was the whole question a film asks is, can you take it? Can you take it? Well, at least 2 people at the screening I was at could not take. I was in a packed theater. Almost every seat was full. And the audience is with the movie. This is a movie where you actually like audience participation, where people are groaning or screaming or laughing or turning their head away or walking out of the theater. I saw a couple. The woman was walking out dragging her boyfriend. I mean, it was hilarious to see. Like, they left, but it is beyond. So again, it's not like, hey, let's go see a horror movie at Blumhouse. No, this is beyond Blumhouse.
Yeah.
This is a whole new thing. And by the way, Damien Leone, indie filmmaker. This was independently made. Terrifier 2 made over 10 million at the box office, and it was made for under $1 million.
Yeah. In fact, we have an interview with Damien Leone on the film.
Yeah, on our interview channel, look up the interview with Damien Leone.
Yeah.
I'll try and get him on the show later this month.
Well, I'll say this: if there's anything positive to say about the Terrifier 3 series you just mentioned, it's an indie filmmaker who made his movie, did whatever he could to scrap money together, made the movie, and is finding massive success with it. I mean, I remember Terrifier 2 when it came out. First of all, I got the screener. I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. And then when it got to the Salt and I was like, I'm out. I cannot handle this movie. But what I found fascinating was, as I'm going to screenings throughout Orange County for the next 2 months, Terrifier 2 was in. They were still showing Terrifier 2. There was still interest in this movie. People were going to see this movie over and over again. I tweeted last night, the Terrifier 3 is playing at the AMC Fullerton, which does dine-in seating. So you can order food. They'll bring the food to your seat and you can eat it while watching the movie. And Terrifier 3 has many screenings in that theater. So you can order a burger, a pizza, salad, and watch Terrifier 3 at the same time. But I mention all this because here's an independent filmmaker who made the movie on his own, found distribution, got to AMC's and Cinemarks and other chains, and bypassing the Hollywood system altogether. And kudos to him for that.
Yeah, it's Hollywood would never make this. Never make it. It could only be done independent. And
I'm pretty sure that woman left because he killed a child. And that was...
Well, no, that was even like after. Like, it's just the movie that this is you. When you see a good horror film, no one should be safe. No one should be safe. So it really is a great continuation. It sets up another movie, and I'm all in. So, but again, you need to be warned. I think people will walk out at any screening of this, but that's up to you.
But you would think by the time of Terrifier 3, you know something about this movie.
Yeah, right.
And what you're in for.
All right. Well, again, take my recommendation and warning. Let's go to your comments here.
Yeah, we got a lot. Philip Lewis, Terrifier 3 was excellent. Best of the franchise. Volume Dealer 1. If this the gayest Terrifier movie ever.
I mean, it's not gay, but I will say, I didn't know you could do that with a chainsaw and a naked man laying on the ground. I mean, it's, and what you think will happen. Oh yeah, it happens. I mean, I will not describe it.
I can only imagine. Death Doom. Terrifier 3 will destroy the Joker. It will.
By the way, we're doing Terrifier versus Joker on Monday for Versus. So come by Monday. Everyone for Versus has to see Terrifier 3.
Except me. But I will say this is a very limited box office market. You are definitely carving out a small segment of the entire market to bring into your theater. And so
emphasis on the carving.
Yeah, carving, yes. James Woolard, Is it gruesome? Is it as gruesome as Bone Tomahawk?
Beyond. Yeah.
I know. I want to see that movie, but I don't want to see that movie. Toxic Waltz, Nate. How Terrifier 3 will likely be number one at the box office 1 week after Joker 2 is so wild.
I don't know. I don't know if it's in enough theaters. So we'll find out Monday. Monday versus. Come by. We'll discuss.
Let's just say at my local theater, Terrifier 3 has more people watching it than the Joker. And the Joker's in the IMAX theater. Mike MC Wong, despite more gore, Terrifier 2 is better. Even though there were more kills, the bedroom scene from part 2 was still one of the most shocking for me. The ending was disappointing.
I agree with Mike. I like Terrifier 2 just a little more.
Nick XH, a member for 7 months. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Nick.
Atomic Lori, leave Christmas alone. Yeah, Lori doesn't like.
You are watch. Hey, this will become a new tradition to watch every Christmas.
Yes, Nightmare Before Christmas, then Terrifier 3. Brock Samsonite, kids need love too. MK Solid, this is horror junk food movies. I'm sorry to the fans, but it's true.
But there's nothing wrong with that. Like, who doesn't like junk food or fast food like every once in a while? Like, hey, you know.
But how's the character development? What kind of themes on humanity was it addressing? Yeah. Toxic Waltz N8. I think Terrifier is successful in the same way Five Nights at Freddy's was. A lot of younger people found the first one on Netflix or whatever back in 2016, 2018, and it went on from there. Krizik, member for 7 months. Chris, is the gore in Terrifier 3 at or above the same level of the graphic detail in the third act of The Substance?
It's different. I would say Substance is more realistic, as weird as that sounds to say. It's more convincing, but it's both movies are at another level.
Yeah, but that third act was saying something. You know,
Yeah.
it was a comment on beauty. I'm not sure you could say that about Terrifier 3. Infectious Groove Music for 5. Thank you. Of course, but how many minutes was the standing ovation?
People did applaud at the end. People did applaud.
All right, Shucksy. Hey, Shucksy. For
Hey,
26
Shucksy.
months. I love the Terrifier franchise. I'm looking forward to seeing Terrifier 3 in theaters. I'm so excited. Have a great weekend, Chris and Alan.
Hey, Shucksy. Yeah, you got to see it with an audience. I'll probably go back and see it again because see it this is a movie you want to see with a lot of people.
Yeah.
You want to see it.
And I can guarantee you miss things in the first viewing.
Yes. Yes. No, I looked away. I seriously did.
It's relentless. That's my problem. It just goes on and on. It won't stop. Volume Dealer 1. I can't stand the look of this character. The eyebrows remind me of current day women.
What kind of women are you talking about?
You know, the women who paint their eyebrows. They remove their eyebrows and then they use makeup to create their own.
Some do tattoos. Did you know some women do tattoos?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
An eyebrow. That's weird.
Yeah. Ron Henriquez. I've had my eye on this series for a while. Do I need to see the first 2 films to follow the plot with this one?
You could go in cold, but I mean, Terrifier 2. They're on VOD, so you can get them.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about Terrifier from Terrifier 2, and I got the point.
Yeah.
All right. Clarence Markwell. It's being released in theaters unrated. If it does well, other movies will follow, and it will end the MPAA.
Thank God. Please end the MPAA.
No one cares about the MPAA.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah. Well, Terrifier 3, you got our recommend here. Let's go.
You got your recommend here.
Yeah, my recommend. You saw a film I did not, Alan.
Okay. Can you tell me which one?
Yeah, what films have you seen that I have not?
Let's see. I believe there's one more. It is My Hero Academia.
You bring that up.
Yes. You want to just go into it?
Alan, tell me about Alan. Hey, what are you doing? Alan, tell me about My Hero Academia. You're next.
Okay, so let's just say the reason this movie appears here is because I have a daughter who is a massive fan of My Hero Academia, and she wanted to see it, and so I took her, and that's what we saw last night. I will say right up front, I know very little about this series. All I know is what she tells me constantly. She loves it. I took her to see it, and so here we go. My Hero Academia, You're Next. If you're familiar with the series, it takes place after season 6, after the paranormal liberation war. I have no idea what that is, but suffice it to say is that Japan is devastated at this point. The city is being run by the Jailbreakers, a group of villains. There are some heroes who are left after the war, who have decided that they're going to be kind of the vigilantes and take care of these jailbreakers. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a imposing figure shows up. His name is Dark Might. He looks amazingly like the great All Might, which I have no idea the significance of that, but he looks like All Might. And he says that he is there to be the successor to All Might, the greatest hero of Japan. He brings this giant fortress along with him. And as people are starting to feel comfortable, feel safe with such an imposing figure to impose rule, we find out his true plans. He is here to capture the people of this town, whatever it's called in Japan, and he calls them specimens. And apparently, what's happening is that he has to collect people, heroes, whoever, who are compatible with him in order to maintain his imposing power. And the way he does it is through a girl named Anna. Her quirk is that she can enhance power, but in order to do so, she must have her own power enhanced. And so that's where these people come in. He's able to use their powers to make him much more strong and powerful. The only person there who can save the day is Deku. He is the one, I guess, was given the powers of All Might when All Might went powerless, and him and his friends go in to save the day. So I kind of like this movie. I get the story behind it somewhat. It's the idea that it's the idea of Dark Might here is the use of power. His goal is to gain as much power as he can to become this imposing figure, while the original All Might learned that with power comes the responsibility to use it responsibly. And that's kind of the lesson being taught here. I think the appeal of this movie is the fact that if you're familiar with the series, a lot of people after season 6 die, retire, lose their powers, whatever. In this movie, this is kind of like the Avengers. It brings back a lot of familiar characters that fans have loved. It brings them back one more time, unites the heroes and the villains to defeat this big power, this big powered villain. It does it in the way My Hero Academia does it. I'm okay with the movie. I saw it. I had a good time. The action was fun. But for those of you fans, I will tell you my daughter's review. She says this: of the 4 films, this is the best one. And even she admitted that's not necessarily saying much. What's good about it is they banded together all the heroes and villains from the first 6 seasons, and they all make appearances. She was going nuts as certain characters started showing up. And like I said, I think my notes here is she was spazzing out over the appearance of certain characters. So, if you're a fan of the film, I guess this is a good one for you. I don't know that I do think you need to have an understanding of the series before going in. Otherwise, I think you're going to be lost. So, for me personally, not knowing the series, I'll give it a very mild recommendation. And if you're a fan, you can go off my daughter's advice. She loved it. Go see it.
Well, I'll say this. I'm always intimidated when I see something like this because, it's a lot of these movies are kind of based on long-running series or manga. And so I'm always like, well, what is this, the 6th movie in the series based on the 30th season of the anime, based on the comic that's been running for 20 years? Like, I don't know, where's my entry point? Do I start in the early ones, or can I just start here and catch up and then go back? Like, so I'll probably skip this one, to be honest.
Yeah,
because
I would say if it's going to be a tough one to kind of latch onto. I mean, you get it. These kids have superpowers, but there's a lot of lore there that you need to understand, like the history of it. There's also an understanding of how these kids get their powers, and how the powers can be taken away and given back. And there's certain categories of powers that I don't understand or need to study before going in. But in terms of just sitting back and watching some action, you could definitely do worse.
So a mild recommend from
Mild
you.
recommendation.
I'm gonna skip it based on what I heard, mainly because it's too intimidating. I mean, some of the other series like Dragon Ball Z, I can jump in because I kind of know those characters. So I'm like, oh, it's another adventures with familiar characters, or other anime series. But I don't know, something like this, it was just not on my radar.
I mean, here's the thing. If you want to bring fans in, you need to make a movie that says something, that has some grand message. Like, I think that's why a lot of people who never read Lord of the Rings loved Lord of the Rings so much, because it had something to say that people could relate to. The message in here is fairly basic. Use your power responsibly, work together. That's, and when it comes to the cameos and appearances, over my head.
All right, let's go to your comments here.
Okay. How's your father? All the kids are into Japanimation. Absolutely. JB Spooky Review. Anime is scarier than Terrifier. Yeah. Mike MC Wong. My Hero Academia is very tedious. Pretty much just 2 hours of endless bland superhero battles. No character development. The early TV series is much better. They should have ended the series. All right. Mike has a lot of time on his hands. Hey, it's me in HD. Man, I know Alan I know Alan is a bit lost on the description, but getting sold on this. Yeah, there's so much more, and I'm trying to explain it.
I mean,
when
you look at what's in theaters, it's like I tend to go for like when video stores existed, I'd look for the stuff on the bottom shelf, or the stuff in the corner. Those were the finds. So this could be a find.
I mean, what's interesting is the key. My daughter asked me who was my favorite character, and there's this character called Julio, who is basically a character that was made for the movie, because there's this love story between Anna and Julio, and I just found his character very compelling. But this character won't exist outside of this movie. Let's see, Death Doom. My Hero Academia does what Marvel don't. That Star Wars girl, I heard my name.
That's right, Anna. If you say Anna 3 times, she shows up.
And there she is.
Hey, Anna, don't cause drama here. That's all I'm going to say. Don't cause any drama. Oh, my God.
As weird. I mean, it continues, and I love it. I am watching.
How is that still going? Literally a random, hey, I didn't like what you did to my friends.
I know.
Comment at a con blows up into basically the Zapruder film, or it's bigger than the Trump near assassination is, with the drama surrounding this. Oh my God.
The interaction took 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And this accusation, I mean, I heard it. I was there. There was no screaming. It was just a very sarcastic comment that lasted 3 seconds, and it has ballooned and blown up into this massive meltdown on the part of these woke Gen Z kids.
Yeah, it's very sad to me. It's very sad to me, but God, I just put things in perspective. If you can't handle, look, I get pushback. I say things, people disagree with me. Happy to discuss it. I don't know. Wow, it's just
But if someone says something like that to me, it's I sure I'll have a reaction, but then I'll just go on with my life. I won't dwell upon it for days. I won't let it keep me up at night. I don't know what her parents taught her, but it's definitely not to stand up for herself.
Thank you, Anna. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And the internet is weird. Internet is weird. All right, I'll be right back, Alan. Please talk to the chat. We have our interview subject coming up momentarily, so don't leave. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, Lori, if you can help me out here. But a lot of love for Anna in the chat. Lord, come on. Let's see, Lord Thoth. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, start grabbing some stuff. The nerd far away. I'm always glad when I miss the drama. LOL. I mean, it's just like it took place, and then we just went on our day, and then all of a sudden we're seeing all these things on the internet. BMO better. Poor Anna, always surrounded by drama. Mob 19001. Both Gore and Ing already has enough drama on its own. Yes, ours lasts forever. MK Solid. Were there any musical numbers for Alan? I think that's Terrifier 4. Can we make Terrifier 4 a musical? Let's see. Here we go. Jim T, sharing a interest in the movies with your kids is great. Yeah, it's like it was one of these things where it's like, okay, I went to one of your movies, now you're gonna have to go to one of mine. And there's a few I want to take her to see. I want to take her to see My Old Ass. And then I do want to take her to see The Outrun with Saoirse Ronan.
Please clip Alan saying he wants to take his daughter to see My Old Ass.
Yeah.
Do not forget this. Do not forget this. Sorry, Alan, you were
but
part of
streaming. We're going back to sharing love of movies with your kids, Chris.
Let me tell you the secret to streaming: keep talking. No matter what you're doing, keep talking. Right?
Right. Unless you're gonna play it.
You can read these questions if you can't see them. See? Just keep talking, keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
So, hey, have you seen any other movies? I have a movie I've seen, a documentary.
Let me make sure. Nope, that was it. I'm done.
That was it? Okay, good. All right. Okay. Well, our interview subject, we're still waiting for that person to arrive, but I have a question for you.
A new theater pizza review.
Bruce Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, you know what I should do? I should do burgers next. The problem with the burgers though is I'm afraid to eat a Regal burger.
Well, there are sliders at AMC and they look disgusting, and I love sliders.
The AMC sliders are nothing to write home about, but the burger at the AMC dine-ins are very good.
Really?
That's my go-to meal now at AMC.
You're kidding.
Yeah. The thing about the Regal one is I know they cook it in the convection oven,
right?
With bun and all, and
it's just a microwave burger.
Exactly. So the thing about pizza is I've already reviewed the 3 pizzas in movie theaters, at least the ones in Orange County. So
you did it on a live stream, right? You did it on a live stream.
Yeah, I did it. I did the review on the live stream.
Hey, while we've got some time here, a couple things. Today is the last day to be eligible for Award This. Our annual awards event is going to be in January this year. We will announce officially the date. I think it's the 3rd Sunday in January. Don't quote me. At the Frida Cinema in Santa Ana. Every year we award indie movies. Small indie movies get the recognition. Go to awardthis.com. Submit your movie. Today is the final deadline. Now, see, while I'm saying that, Alan, you could bring up this right here.
Yeah.
Go to awardthis.com. It is an event like any awards event. There is a red carpet. There is a cocktail reception at the beginning. There is the awards event itself. We have comedians hosting the event. Everyone will be in attendance to receive awards. There's an after party. There are gift bags, and it is the only event you can buy, only awards event that I know of where you can buy a ticket. That's right. We have sponsors. If you're a filmmaker, there are prize packages. Last year, the winner of Indie Movie of the Year got was it $10,000 or was it more than that?
Yes. Well, it was a post-production package. I don't know.
Of like, I think 10 grand.
Yeah. From Sugar Studios.
Yeah. It was. This is how Film Threat supports indie filmmakers. I really hate seeing myself like that. Look at my hair is terrible.
I know, look at that. And this is
I'm like 30 pounds more
than I am now. You've lost a lot of weight since then.
I've lost a lot of weight. Don't watch last year's show. But go to awardthis.com, see how you can meet. And by the way, if you don't make it this year, everything rolls over to next year. All right? Everything rolls over to next year. So don't worry. But go to awardthis.com, submit your movie to be eligible for our awards. We do every year, and I'm really proud of it. So, yeah, check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and one last reminder. Let's see if you can instinctively do something. I'm reminding people. No. Go to shop.filmthreat.com. Get yourself a shirt. We have for a limited time spooky season shirts. Film Threat the 13th, Nightmare in Film Threat Street. We've got our election collection. I'm wearing one of the shirts. Vote Film Threat. Gore 2024. We have pins, buttons. These pins and button collection. We've got shirts. We've got our Drinker's Choice collection, all kinds of apparel and glasses, a retro collection. Check this out. I love these shirts. Look at this. All kinds of shirts inspired by different franchises. I'm excited. Go to shop.filmthreat.com. So there you go. All right. One last thing. I guess our interview subject is late. We might have to but I'll tell you about one last movie that I saw. I saw this movie a while back. All right. It is not, excuse me. We talk about this film, and I want to show the trailer for this movie, if you don't mind, Alan.
Sure.
Modernism Inc. is about design. It is about the story of Elliot Noyes, who's an architect and designer who developed many of the great grand design that we appreciate today. And it influenced everything from not just architecture, but like the design of, gas stations, among other things. He worked at IBM, and his modernist thinking influenced so much of like everything from fonts to computers to architecture. And if you're a design nerd like I am, I love fetishizing over fonts or design. And let's take a look at the trailer for this movie. Wait here. I'm gonna go to the trailer and give you a taste of this. Let's see. I have it right here. Let's watch this trailer. It's only a little over a minute and a half here. We're gonna watch this real quick.
People think design is the superficial details, how something looks. And what they miss is that design is much deeper than that. Elliott Noyes paved the way for us.
Elliott Noyes might be one of the best examples of what it means to be a designer.
Elliott Noyes had quite a purist view of modernism, that design could be at the core of building a future society.
More practical, more beautiful, simply better.
He started the design program at IBM.
He had this idea for something completely new, that design should be infused through all layers of the business.
Back then, they didn't have words like marketing or even brand.
Good design is good business.
He was almost like a shrink for the company. You know, here's who you really are.
Modernism was a bit of a victim of its own success.
The trajectory that U.S. consumerism was on wasn't sustainable.
Stop the unnecessary consumption of resources.
I mean, what about that? We're still ripping off these other countries.
Architects and designers didn't see themselves as part of the problem.
I am not a political guy. I'm interested in making my points through my work.
We had this amazing legacy.
It is as modern now as it was back then.
I love this documentary. I am a design nerd, and I just really, what's really fascinating about it is how much of great design came from that era that influenced up to today. But what really ended things, unfortunately, was an early form of wokeism. Like back then, it was. You'll see it's in the doc.
Is that brought out in the movie? Yeah.
It's so disheartening to see, but strong recommend. But this movie is also for nerds. I am a design nerd. I love fonts, design. I love even our Hollywood on the Rocks logo or Versus logo things. Alan knows. I fetishize over like the look of our website and our logos for anything that we do. So this movie was huge influence on me, or the Elliott Noyes, unbeknownst to me, was an influence on me. So strongly recommend it, but it really truly is for nerds. So there you go. Recommend for modernism.
So shapes are racist. Is that where?
You'll see that it's like I say, an early sort of college kids that kind of infected that design world and took it down. And now when you look at architecture, do we build anything today that will last years into the future? I don't think so.
Nope.
So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Look at the LA skyline and it'll tell you everything.
Recommend this movie. But again, if you're really into this nerdy stuff. All right. Hey, we are delighted today to be joined by Mafia Wars director Scott Windhauser. He is here to tell us about his movie. So let's get him on the show. Prepare your questions for Scott as he tells us about Mafia Wars. Hey, Scott.
Hey.
Thank you for joining us on the show today. Sorry, we're kind of at the end of a review there, so apologies for that. Thank you for joining us. Tell us about your movie, Mafia Wars.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I'm a design nerd too. Because,
good.
My uncle was a pretty famous architect, and he built he built the upper section of the Sears Tower years ago, obviously. And he took me, I was there. He built Bill Gates's house in Seattle in the 90s. And it was back then, it was a $300 million house in the early 90s that it's still there today, obviously. But it was the stuff they did in that house is like mind blowing. And you can just imagine, so ahead of its time. So I'm a huge, Frank Lloyd Wright, I'm a big, I was going to be an architect, and then I decided probably stupidly to go into the movie business. But I'm right there with you guys. I love design and stuff that kind of sets the precedent, and that stuff that lasts or that you can go, go back to. So right there with you guys. I think.
Yeah, well, check out the doc Modernism Inc.
I will.
Very good documentary. But also, I'm not surprised you are a director, because directors fetishize over details.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of your job, is to look at all the details. But tell us about Mafia Wars.
So Mafia Wars is a story about a guy who's in prison for I would say all the right reasons. He's doing it because his niece needs an operation, and he's selling drugs, but it's the only way he could get money quick. So he gets caught in Italy, and he's in prison, and he's pulled out of prison to go undercover to take down part of the Cosa Nostra, who are now, getting into the fentanyl business and wanting to supply all of Europe with fentanyl that they secretly are packaging in this huge brick factory just outside of Rome. So it's really about a guy, and Tom Welling is the star. He's forced into this, and he doesn't want to be the hero. He's the anti-hero, and he really has to do this. And unbeknownst to him, the first day on the job, all the other undercover agents are discovered. So he has to he rides shotgun all day with a guy who's a psychopath, who's executed the rest of his undercover unit. And you don't know if it's Cam Gigante, by the way, who's the psychopath, who doesn't know if he's a cop or not. So it's really I always kind of describe the movie as like the criminal version of Training Day, because you got a guy, taking Tom Welling around all day and really putting him through his paces. Having to kill. He does drugs. He has to kill people. He has to, walk in impossible situations. So it's really kind of an action thriller in that way, that I think hopefully will keep the audiences guessing till the very end of like who's on what side and what's everyone's ultimate motives in the film.
The cast is really amazing with Cam and Tom Welling. What's it like to work with Superman and Tom? Tell us what it was like to work with him.
Well, Tom, because he was on Smallville for so long, he's known as Superman, and it's kind of hard to escape the cape, for a lot of these actors. Henry Cavill is going through the same thing kind of right now, but he's such a great actor, and he's so versatile. And when we talked about doing the movie, it's the complete opposite, because he's not the guy, he's not the hero. He doesn't want to be there. He's looking for the way out. So I think that really appealed to Tom in terms of, playing a guy who's forced into doing good things. And I think that, he's in that regard, he's like, if someone puts a gun to our head and says, go do that. It's like, I guess I have to, but I really don't want to. I want to go home and watch a movie. I don't want to go, have to participate in all this shenanigans, I would say. But, Tom's a great guy, and he's a great family man. We got along really well on set, and we're talking about doing another movie together. I couldn't speak highly enough about him.
Tell us about like working with guns, and like gun safety and working with guns on a film. I mean, we take it for granted, everyone knows, but it is, when you have a film that involves a lot of guns, that is something that you have to be mindful of.
Well, as we're talking from your other segment into this one, as the architect of the movie, as a director, you really, the buck stops with me. If somebody gets a paper cut on set, it's my fault. It might not be technically my fault, but that's the way I see it. So I always tell everybody, there was like a guy did like a 50-foot high fall in this movie, in this weird factory setting, and the pad was in a weird spot, but I went over it for hours because I don't want anyone to get hurt. You know, after Rust, obviously, and the Alec Baldwin thing, we didn't use blanks. We used all CGI gunfire because A, it's a smaller budget movie, so you don't have as much time to prepare for stuff like that. And two, there's also a language barrier when you're in Rome. You know, all the stunt guys are gung ho in any country, and they're great. But it's like they don't speak English. So it's like translator. I don't want anything to get lost in translation. So we used all CGI gunfire in this, and that to me, you know, it's just much safer. It's just a movie. I want everyone to go home at the end of the day and be happy.
And there's a kick. I've heard of that becoming more the norm.
Yeah,
is the CGI gunfire because tell us how that works.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, they add the muzzle flash and they add the shell ejecting in post, and you know, the VFX guys now, they can make it look pretty real up close. You know, if you have a really close, sometimes it doesn't pass the you know, the smell test a little bit, but for the most part, it's hard to tell what's going on, and if you have the actor do a little bit of recoil. And you know, there's quick shots on that. I think you're fine, but I think it's just much safer because, you know, these stunt guys have to do enough in car rollovers and all kinds of stuff. That there was a guy in the movie. We shot in a 400-year-old Italian villa, and he fell down the stairs, and these big opulent stair, like, you know, wooden staircase. And he fell probably 25 stairs down. That's hard enough. Like, I don't, you know, it's like, and then you ask somebody to put a gun, you know, a gun with the muzzle flash, and the blanks can go off, the half quarter loads. And those things, by the way, it's loud too. It's bad on people's ears. It's not worth it for the most part. If you can shoot an up close of a gun going off, maybe, and the whole crew is standing far away because it'll look good on camera, I buy that. But I think preparation and experience on your stunt crew and your armorers have to really be top notch, because it's just not worth it.
We've got over 1,000 people watching live, and they have a lot of questions for you. We'll go to the questions, but before we do that, one last, what was the biggest challenge making this movie?
You know, the biggest challenge is Rome itself, because we shot, I don't know if you've been to Rome, but we shot all around, like the Colosseum, the Vatican, the Forum, which is a very famous place too. We shot at they're priceless locations. So, you know, getting the crew and you know, putting the trucks where they need to be, and then we shot in the springtime. So Rome is packed with people. So it's crowd, you know, getting the crowd all you know, pushed back and having to deal with that stuff. So I think the logistics of Rome itself, but the trade-off is if you get it right and it's priceless. So it's the backdrops, everywhere you point the camera there, you can't go wrong. So I think that was the logistics of just kind of, and then the crew was great, but again, they didn't speak English, and if things were going wrong, they really didn't speak English. So it's like, you know, you're like, guys, you know, everyone kind of forgot English, but you know, I had a great time. My wife plays Sphinx, the female lead, and my daughter is in the movie. She plays the 3-year-old. So I had my family over there. It was a once in a lifetime experience shooting in Rome.
Well, I bet the food was really good.
Yeah, you literally can't go wrong with the food there. I mean, the smallest place, you'd be like, this place looks like a hole in the wall place, and like, you know, it's been there for like 150 years or something. So you're like, it's got to be doing something right.
I don't know how much time you have, but we'll get to as many questions as possible here, starting with the nerd far away who asks, "Hail, Mr. Windhauser, what do you think about the Tropicana Resort going away in Vegas?"
it's an end of an era. I grew up in LA, so I was always in Vegas. I have family in Henderson, which is right in Vegas. So it's an end of an era. I think you gotta. I think you gotta. Always, I have one saying that I truly believe, and it's funny that you, again, from the architecture stuff from your previous segment, progress always wins out. Progress is always going to pretty much, in politics, in technology, somehow progress is going to win out. So I think that it was the most expensive hotel at the time, but the new, everyone wants the new one. So if you're an old hotel in Vegas, I would not invest in that one. I would invest in the new one.
Hey, it's me in HD, who's a member, says, I saw the trailer for Mafia Wars, and all I can say is Tom Welling sold.
Yeah, I think Tom it plays like a 180 from his character in Smallville, and I think that it's really good to see him stretch his legs that way. And he's a lot of fun, and he's a great lead. He's a big dude. He's in good shape. He is an action star, and I've worked with other actors that were action stars, and you're like, they're small guys or they're this or that. Tom can hold his own in the acting department and the physicality. So I think you'll be happy to see what he does in this film.
Solomon Thornton asks, greetings, Sir Scott. Any advice for beginning filmmakers?
Yeah, I have a ton of advice, but I'll keep it simple. You can shoot a movie on this. What I would do is two things. I learn something about shooting, and the phones make it pretty easy to do, and learn writing, because writing will lead you to shooting. Because I started off as a screenwriter, and people eventually let me direct something that I wrote. And, I went to film school for directing, but it's hard for someone to go, here's $2 million, go make a movie. They want to see what you can do. So as a writer, you can really kind of get in there and get to know people in the business, and someone will give you a shot.
Cool. All right. More questions here. We have a lot of comments. Let's see. Andrew Wordnut says, yeah, I'd opt for that unless you had top budget and trusted stunt coordinator, talking about the digital flash. So another question. Yeah. Another question from Krizik. I understand your concern about firearms on the set. However, especially for up close shots, why not consider using Japanese model guns, at least to get the proper recoil action?
Agreed. The problem is, again, when you're doing a movie this size, you don't have two things. Time, you don't have time as a luxury, and you don't have money as a luxury. So sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and like the armor will come to you and say, here's all the guns we got.
Yeah.
Pick. And it's like the guns in the movie, I always write very specific kind of guns, because I think certain guns look really cool. And then they come to you and say, oh, we don't have that gun. And I said, well, it's in the script, but they're like, this is all we can get. So I agree on the up close for the recoil, but it's a question of time and preparation. So if you can make that work, and you can, again, as a director or the architect, you have certain things on your list, that your wish list, that you got to kind of sometimes sacrifice some of your babies in order to get the film made, because time is not your friend.
Hey, it's me in HD. Getting film permits in Rome more difficult than here in USA?
Yes, very difficult. The bureaucracy there, only because you're really in the biggest tourist town that you can possibly imagine. There's people everywhere doing everything, so getting those permits, getting permits that, we filmed, like you said, at the Forum, and we could only shoot there for, I think it was like 4 hours they let us shoot. So it's very political, and older countries like that, there you got to know somebody, and that person has to be able to talk. And it's not like, you know, the States, certain parts of the States are hard to shoot it too, but it is difficult. It is difficult.
And last questions here from Dennis Wright. Sounds great. Where can we watch it? And this sounds, James Willard, this sounds like a good movie. Will it be released in the UK? So where can you watch it? Is it coming to the UK?
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be everywhere. It's, you know, it's like right now you can get it on Amazon, Apple, video on demand. You know, it's so funny because I was talking to Saban about this. When people, it becomes confusing because it's on streaming sites, but streaming can mean Netflix. It's not on Netflix yet. You know, it'll probably go on something like Hulu or HBO or something. But at first they want to see how many people will pay for it. So definitely on Apple, definitely on Amazon Prime, or, you know, that site. But it'll be and Vudu and all those places where you can pay for a movie. It's on right now.
And if you're in the UK, use a VPN. Yeah. And you can change your territory and then get stuff.
Yeah.
Didn't say that. Hey, Scott, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Congrats on the movie and your next film. Please come back and talk to us.
Absolutely. Pleasure, guys.
All right. Take care.
All
Have
right.
a great weekend.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
That was great. Alan, you're big.
That's what she said.
Clip that. Final questions, comments here from Ron is right. Design nerds, let's go. Hey, thanks for being a member again. Join the Discord. You know, if you're quick on, if you're quick, you can get codes. We do a lot of giveaways for members only and our members only videos. Alan this weekend is posting his Catalina Island Film Festival report. Will be up on for members only this weekend. And a quick, this is the comment of the day. Beerosaurus Rex, member for 26 months. Thank you. I would make a font joke, but I'm not bold enough. That is the comment of the day from one of my favorite members. One of my favorite names, Beerosaurus Rex. Is there a better name than Beerosaurus Rex? There is.
I would say that's the dad joke of the day.
That is the dad joke of the day. I love it. And also, thanks to our mod, Lord Thoth. Thanks to, she never thanks herself enough. Atomic Lori. Thanks to Atomic Lori. She deserves our thanks. She never gets it enough. Thanks to Glenn. Thanks to all of you for sticking with us. You know, when we used to do review interviews, like people would be watching the show and then it would like when an interview came on, now everybody sticks around. Our interviews are fun. So thank you to everyone who watches us live. You get more of the show, but really, I guess the message of today's show, if you're going to a clown movie this weekend, go see Terrifier 3. Alan is nearly convinced. Alan, will you see Terrifier 3?
I will not see Terrifier 3.
No,
you
come
convinced
on.
me that it's just as good as Terrifier 2.
It is. It is. So it's I still like Terrifier 2 just a little more, but that's okay. So we are back Monday with Versus and back to our regular shenanigans. Alan, what do you got going this weekend? Oh, wait. I'm going to Monster Palooza in Burbank. I will be there at the Burbank Airport Marriott. Tomorrow I'll be there. Tonight I'm seeing Hans Zimmer.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. And then Sunday I'm going to the racetrack and I'm watching baseball a lot. That's my plans. Any plans this weekend, Alan?
Yeah, I'll be performing at the National Comedy Theater in San Diego tomorrow at 7:30. So we can buy tickets at nationalcomedy.com.
Is it National Comedy?
Nationalcomedy.com. And last week we just celebrated our 25 years of of performing in San Diego. We're the longest running live theater show in San Diego.
Okay, I'm trying to bring up the website. I found it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a new headshot.
Alan talks about this. I'm going to share. We've got a little, I like to share a screen here.
I have new headshots. So
this is where Alan performs. I have been there. I have seen Alan perform at the National Comedy Theater. Let's do a link in the description. I'll copy this. Nationalcomedy.com. I saw Alan do the most inappropriate performance. Not joking.
Yeah, and I believe you're sitting next to my daughter when you
I was sitting next to your daughter while horrible things happened. Wait,
yeah, but that's not the show. This is a family-friendly show. You can bring the kids. And then also another tidbit here. Both Gary and I.
Whoa! Look at this.
Look at
me. What is this new headshot?
No, look at that.
Alan Ng. There he
that
is.
That screams comedy, doesn't it?
I like your headshot from before. That's when you call me, that's the picture. I have your old headshot.
Yeah. By the way, trivia, Gary Nerdrotic and I have performed in this theater. He did it long before I did, but we have been in the same room doing a show.
Well, that's awesome. And I will get down for a show. Yeah. I had so much fun. There's a bar. It's very chill. It's the performers are there. Like it's intimate. What is it, like 100 seats?
100 seats. And like unlike other comedy shows, we actually fill them up.
No, it is. It was full. The screen, when I went, it was packed. And there's really good bars around the corner. Mm-hmm. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, good Mexican food. We are just south of Old Town San Diego. Like literally 2 blocks south of Old Town San Diego.
It's really fun. So I might, if the Padres are in the World Series, I am going to San Diego to see a game. Game 5 is tonight. And then I'll also go to this. You should perform that weekend.
Yeah. Oh, man. Series. Should have been there Super Bowl weekend when the Super Bowl was in San Diego.
Was it crazy?
It was great. We had to cancel the second show because the freeways were gridlocked. No one was moving, which meant no one was coming to the show because they couldn't get off the freeway.
Well, thank you for watching live, everyone. We do the clips, for people that just want the highlights, but hanging out with you is a lot of fun. And I appreciate you all. I'm busy. I got Hans Zimmer tonight. Got Monster Palooza in Burbank tomorrow. I got the racetrack on Sunday and the Rose Bowl swap meet. I'll be there in Pasadena. So I got a busy weekend.
Yeah.
I got a busy weekend. So, all right. Alan.
Let's get out of here.